Somebody has to say it. Wrong is wrong and right is right. Between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, I'm not picking no sides, but talking about people's kids is off limits. It's very low.
Sometimes the strongest move is the one made in silence. Over the past few years, Nicki Minaj, one of the most successful and influential rappers of her generation, has been at the center of controversy, drama, and emotional outbursts that have left both fans and critics questioning what went wrong. Once celebrated as the undisputed queen of rap, Nicki now finds herself in a storm of her own making, pointing fingers, burning bridges, and publicly feuding with some of the biggest names in music. But behind the noise, there's a quieter, far more strategic story playing out, one that involves Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and the subtle yet devastating power of silence. Nicki's frustration has hit a boiling point. Her recent rants, social media tirades, and unpredictable behavior have become impossible to ignore. And while she's been loud, emotional, and defensive, Jay-Z and Beyoncé have responded with something far more calculated: nothing at all. The couple's silence, steady, unbothered, and surgical, has spoken louder than any diss track ever could. This isn't just celebrity drama. This is a clash of power, perception, and legacy. So let's break down how Nicki Minaj's unraveling has collided with Jay-Z and Beyoncé's quiet dominance, and how that silence might just be the loudest move in hip-hop today. For over a decade, Nicki Minaj has been a symbol of perseverance. She broke barriers for female rappers in a male-dominated industry, redefining what success looked like for women in hip-hop. From her early mixtapes to her record-breaking albums, Nicki carved a lane that no one could touch. But with that success came immense pressure, the kind that can turn confidence into paranoia. As time passed, Nicki's image shifted from playful and powerful to combative and cornered. Every interview, every post, every statement started to feel like a defense mechanism, as if she was fighting invisible enemies. The irony is that Nicki's true enemies weren't outside her circle, they were within it. Label politics, management disputes, and complicated business deals quietly chipped away at her foundation. Yet, instead of confronting the real issues like royalties, catalog ownership, and poor contractual terms, Nicki began redirecting her anger elsewhere. That anger eventually found new targets: Jay-Z and Beyoncé. In Nicki's eyes, the powerful couple represented an elite circle that had allegedly turned its back on her, blackballing her from key opportunities. But to the rest of the industry, those claims sounded like a desperate attempt to explain her fading dominance. Nicki's fixation on Jay-Z and Beyoncé didn't happen overnight. It built up slowly, in fragments. A lyric here, a subliminal post there, a vague interview answer that hinted at betrayal. Her accusations implied that Roc Nation, Jay-Z's powerhouse management and entertainment company, had somehow conspired to push her out of the spotlight. She painted herself as a victim of industry politics, suggesting that the same people who once praised her now wanted her gone. But the facts tell a different story. Jay-Z and Beyoncé don't need to play small games to maintain their position. They've long transcended the noise. Nicki's narrative, however, gained traction because it fit the pattern of her recent behavior: defensive, reactive, and conspiratorial. In her world, every setback seemed to be someone else's fault. Every new female rapper who rose to fame was somehow an industry plant sent to replace her, and every perceived slight from her peers became a betrayal. Jay-Z, in particular, became a recurring ghost in these stories, the man behind the curtain, allegedly pulling strings to control the industry. But in reality, Jay's empire isn't built on manipulation, it's built on strategy, a mastery of timing, influence, and quiet power that Nicki never quite learned to wield. By 2024, Nicki's public image had taken a sharp turn. What was once confidence now looked like desperation. Her social media activity grew erratic. Long rants, emotional live streams, and posts that were quickly deleted but never forgotten. Every time she spoke, the internet lit up, not because of her music, but because of the drama. The same artist who once controlled the narrative was now controlled by it. For her loyal fan base, the Barbs, This was just another battle in the long war against a biased industry. But for outsiders, it was a slow-motion collapse of one of hip-hop's most iconic figures. And through it all, Jay-Z and Beyoncé remained silent. No comments, no cryptic tweets, no interviews addressing the drama. Their stillness created a striking contrast. While Nicki shouted into the digital void, the Carters stood still, letting her words echo without resistance. That silence became its own statement, an unspoken reminder that power doesn't argue. Power doesn't need to defend itself. Power simply observes, then acts when the timing is right. And when Jay-Z finally did act, it was with the precision of a chess master. It started quietly, without fanfare or headlines. A few weeks after Nicki's infamous July rant, the one where she went off on everyone from Cardi B to the industry at large, Jay-Z made a subtle yet calculated move. He cleared a sample from his 1997 classic Imaginary Players for Cardi B's upcoming album. On the surface, it looked like a simple business decision, a veteran artist allowing another rapper to use his work. But anyone paying attention knew what it meant. The timing was surgical. Jay's approval wasn't random, it was symbolic. By granting Cardi that clearance, Jay-Z aligned himself, indirectly, with one of Nicki's most public rivals. It wasn't a diss, it was strategy. He didn't need to tweet a word or release a statement. The message was crystal clear. The industry's power players move in silence, not chaos. Cardi, for her part, delivered the song with grace and confidence, turning what could have been a feud into an homage. Fans noticed the connection immediately. The flow, the energy, the beat, it all echoed Jay-Z's original work. And while the track celebrated legacy, it also subtly reminded everyone where that legacy came from. Nicki, however, didn't see it that way. To her, it was a betrayal, proof that the people she accused were indeed conspiring against her. But in truth, Jay's move had little to do with her and everything to do with maintaining cultural control. He reminded everyone that influence isn't loud. Influence is invisible until it isn't. In an age where everyone is online shouting their truths, silence has become a rare luxury, one that only the truly powerful can afford. Jay-Z and Beyoncé have mastered that art. They don't react to gossip, they don't feed the drama, and they don't chase relevance. They create it. Every time they move, the world adjusts around them, and that's what makes Nicki's attack so ineffective. She's fighting ghosts that don't swing back. Her anger bounces off walls, while her targets continue to rise, untouched. This dynamic reveals something deeper about the modern celebrity machine. Fame isn't just about talent anymore, it's about perception. When you lose control of your narrative, the world starts writing it for you. And that's exactly what's happened to Nicki. Every rant becomes proof of instability. Every outburst, another headline reinforcing the same story, that the once unshakable queen has lost her grip. Meanwhile, Jay-Z and Beyoncé, by saying nothing, maintain total control over their image. In the silence between Nicki's meltdowns and Jay's measured moves lies the real difference between chaos and power. What's unfolding here isn't just a celebrity feud. It's a masterclass in how control operates at the highest levels of fame. Jay-Z and Beyoncé have spent years cultivating an image of grace under pressure. They don't respond to attacks because they understand that engagement gives power to the aggressor. Nicki, on the other hand, thrives on confrontation. But when every battle becomes public, you eventually start losing even when you win. The audience grows tired, the mystique fades, and the brand begins to fracture. Jay's quiet sample clearance for Cardi wasn't revenge. It was a lesson. It was proof that influence doesn't need to shout to be heard. In contrast, Nicki's constant need to address every rumor or slight has turned her once impenetrable image into a spectacle. Every tweet she sends, every live stream she hosts becomes another reminder of the imbalance between perception and power. And in the court of public opinion, perception always wins. What's tragic about this is that Nicki doesn't need to play this game. Her talent speaks for itself. Her catalog is legendary. But instead of letting her work do the talking, she's chosen to fight invisible battles, giving life to narratives that only harm her in the long run. The more she reacts, the more she loses. And the more she loses, the stronger Jay-Z and Beyoncé appear, not because they've attacked her, but because they haven't. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The era of Nicki Minaj versus the world is exhausting everyone, including her fans. The chaos has overshadowed her art. Her every move is now measured not by her lyrics or performances, but by her latest outburst. Meanwhile, Jay-Z and Beyoncé remain untouchable, evolving, expanding, and thriving in silence. Their legacy is cemented not by controversy, but by consistency. They've learned that true dominance isn't about proving yourself to the world. It's about being so secure in your power that you never have to explain it. However, as we witness Nicki Minaj's ongoing downfall, one that few rappers can compare to, it's essential to look at how her behavior contrasts with the calm, composed response of Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Nicki has spent months posting angry messages, firing shots, and trying to drag people into her mess. But while she's been doing that, the Carters have remained unbothered, continuing to live their best lives. Their silence speaks volumes, and it shows the difference between those who control the narrative and those who lose it. Before we dive deeper, it's worth understanding this concept of winners and losers. It's not just about who sells more records or who wins a beef. It's about how you carry yourself, how you present your emotions to the world, whether good or bad, and how you maintain composure under pressure. From Drake to Lil Wayne to Nicki herself, we've seen stars handle their declines in very different ways. But what we're witnessing now from Nicki Minaj might be one of the most public, chaotic, and damaging crashes in hip-hop history. Nicki Minaj has chosen to pick fights with some of the biggest winners in music, and she's done so relentlessly. Instead of focusing on her craft or letting her legacy speak for itself, she's doubled down on public outbursts and bizarre claims. Every new post, every meltdown seems to dig her deeper into the hole. But what's made her even angrier than Cardi B's responses or the fans turning on her is how Jay-Z and Beyoncé have handled the entire thing with pure elegance. Nicki's strange obsession with Jay-Z goes back years. She's blamed Roc Nation and Jay personally for her struggles, claiming they're behind her business and career setbacks. She's hinted that they've conspired to hold her back, that they've manipulated the industry against her. But if you look closer, it's not about conspiracy. It's about accountability. Many of the issues Nicki faces come from her own contracts, her own management choices, and her own inability to evolve with the industry. Instead of blaming Birdman or her early deals, she's redirected that anger toward Jay-Z, the ultimate symbol of success she feels she was denied. After a series of incoherent rants in July, where Nicki went after nearly everyone, from SZA to Cardi to Jay-Z, something interesting happened. Jay-Z made a move, not with words, but with strategy. He cleared a sample from his 1997 classic, Imaginary Players, for Cardi B's album, Am I the Drama? The track mirrored Jay's original song. The flow, the subject matter, even the beat, as an homage to his legacy. On the surface, it looked like just another business move, but in reality, it was symbolic. It was a quiet statement from Jay. We move differently. By aligning with Cardi B, even indirectly, Jay-Z reminded everyone that true power doesn't need to scream. It doesn't need to tweet. It doesn't need to engage in drama. It simply moves with precision, leaving others to piece together the message afterward. For Nicki, that was a gut punch. She saw it as proof of betrayal, as validation of her paranoia. But to the rest of the world, it was a lesson in control. Meanwhile, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were out celebrating life, literally. Just as Nicki's meltdown hit its peak, they were photographed at Jay-Z's grandmother's 100th birthday party, surrounded by family, joy, and music. Stevie Wonder was performing, guests were dancing, and the Carters were smiling, radiating peace. That wasn't just a celebration. It was a message. While Nicki was spiraling online, they were showing the world what true success looks like. Peace, family, and purpose. No anger, no rants, no chaos. Just balance. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. On one side, a woman consumed by bitterness and envy, using social media as a weapon. On the other, a couple so powerful they don't even need to respond. Their silence wasn't weakness, it was mastery. It showed that when you truly win, you don't fight the noise. You rise above it. You cleanse the timeline not with drama, but with light. Nicki's anger comes from jealousy, not necessarily of fame or money, but of peace. When she sees Jay and Beyoncé enjoying their lives, she's reminded of everything she doesn't have: a sense of fulfillment, emotional balance, genuine joy. The same pattern can be seen with others like Drake, who often project confidence while revealing deep insecurity through their actions. These artists aren't just feuding, they're fighting with their own reflections. Jay-Z and Beyoncé's power isn't just in their careers. It's in how they've maintained sanity in an industry that destroys most people. They've built empires, raised a family, and transcended music. They've turned fame into something stable, meaningful, and calm. That's what infuriates people like Nicki, because she's chasing relevance while they are preserving legacy. Jay-Z had mastered what many rappers never do: restraint. He doesn't fight every battle, he chooses the ones that matter. He doesn't post, rant, or argue online. Instead, he lets his moves, business or artistic, do the talking. This is a basic law of power. Never dignify your opponent's chaos with acknowledgement. When you refuse to engage, you remove their power entirely.
And that's exactly what Jay-Z and Beyoncé have done. They've moved on, literally and symbolically. Their message to Nicki is clear: we're too busy living to fight with you. They've turned what could have been a PR crisis into a lesson in class and control. While Nicki's rants make headlines, the Carter's pictures make history. They've reminded the world that success isn't just about money, it's about peace of mind. As we zoom out, this moment reflects something much larger happening in hip-hop. There's a growing divide between those who thrive on chaos and those who outgrow it. The crash-out generation, artists like Nicki and Drake, have built their brands on controversy, on constantly needing validation. But the true power players, Jay-Z, Beyoncé, Kendrick Lamar, are moving differently. They're mature, intentional, and calm. They create from a place of understanding, not reaction. You can see this difference in their art. Albums like Jay-Z's 444 and Kendrick's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers explore growth, therapy, and accountability. They confront the darkness of fame and choose to evolve beyond it. Meanwhile, Nicki and Drake seem trapped in cycles of insecurity and resentment, using their platforms to project anger instead of progress. The result? One side keeps growing, the other keeps imploding. Nicki's continued attacks on Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and Cardi B might feel powerful in the moment, but they only reveal how far she's fallen. The more she talks, the smaller she becomes. The more they stay silent, the bigger they seem. That's the paradox of power in the social media age. Silence is the new dominance. In many ways, this entire saga feels like the closing chapter of an era. Nicki Minaj's story will always be remembered, not just for her music, but for her impact. She opened doors that others now walk through, but her inability to separate emotion from business has left cracks in her empire. And in the world of entertainment, perception is everything. Once the audience starts seeing weakness, it's nearly impossible to rebuild the illusion of invincibility. Jay-Z and Beyoncé understand that better than anyone. They've built careers on precision and patience, and in this quiet power war, they've shown once again that silence can destroy chaos more effectively than confrontation ever could. So where does this leave Nicki Minaj? Can she recover from the spiral? Can she rebuild her image and remind the world of the artist she truly is? Maybe, but it will take humility, reflection, and a willingness to move in silence, the very strategy that Jay-Z and Beyoncé have mastered. Because at the end of the day, fame is temporary, but power is perception. And when the noise fades, it's the ones who know how to move quietly that remain standing. This isn't just a story about music. It's a story about legacy, ego, and the psychology of fame. Nicki Minaj may be fighting her loudest battle yet, but Jay-Z and Beyoncé are proving that sometimes saying nothing at all is the ultimate victory.